Good morning, it's Thursday the 27th of July. I'm Ben Brown and welcome to BBC Newsroom Live. The government has asked independent experts to produce a report assessing the costs and benefits of EU migrants as part of plans to develop a new immigration system after Brexit. The Immigration Minister, Brandon Lewis, said it was a simple matter of fact that free movement rules would no longer apply after Britain leaves the EU. That means new rules to manage migration would be in place by spring 2019. Well, the Home Secretary has written in the Financial Times today laying out her views of a post-Brexit immigration system. And she said we need the most accurate picture possible of the extent to which the UK economy uses EU labour. Now, she also sought to reassure businesses there would be no cliff edge once we leave the bloc. And she concluded by saying, put simply, the UK must remain a hub for international talent. Well, let's speak now to our assistant political editor, Norman Smith. So, Norman, what have we learned about the government's position then on migration?
I think what we've learned, Ben, is a renewed desire in government to take business opinion on board when it comes to framing a new immigration system. Amber Rudd going out of her way today to say she wants to hear from business. They've got to be honest. They've got to express their views. They've got to tell government what sort of immigration system they want. This, of course, as we know, business organisations have repeatedly expressed concerns about any significant clampdown on their ability to recruit EU labour. But what has been striking is the sort of rather higgledy-piggledy nature of this announcement, because this Commission won't report until just 6 months before we actually leave the EU, prompting many questions as to why this work hadn't been done many months ago after the referendum. Also, this Commission won't report until the government has already begun the legislation to introduce a new immigration bill. And there was also a distinct difference in tone and language between the Home Secretary, Amber Rudd, who seemed to be suggesting that there would be a softly approach, that business would be given plenty of time to adapt with a transitional period, and the Immigration Minister, Brandon Lewis, who this morning said that free movement of labour would come to an end in March 2019 when we leave the EU. Have a listen to what Mr. Lewis said.
We're very clear about this, as is the Home Secretary as well in her notes that she's outlined to the Commission. Free movement ends when we leave the European Union. But we've also always been very clear about having a smooth process that ensures that our economy continues to prosper. We're seeing jobs grow, more businesses investing here. We want to see that continue. And the Commission's work will help inform what industry and sectors need within the new structure of immigration as we go forward.
Mr. Lewis's view was that when we leave the EU, voters will know what sort of new system we're going to have in place, albeit it might be phased in over a gradual period of time. But that sense of slight higgledy-pigglediness was compounded by the Foreign Secretary, Boris Johnson, who was asked about this report, this inquiry, in a press conference in Australia, and seemed slightly wrong-footed.
Well, the honest truth is, you bring me news of this report today, Phil. So I'm sorry if I can't comment on it. Sounds like an interesting report. I can give you or interesting potential report. I can give you my views about immigration. I think immigration is broadly a positive thing for societies if you allow talented people to come in a controlled way to great metropolises like London and Sydney.
So where are we? Well, I think it's clear that the Home Secretary at least wants business to have a much bigger input into framing the new immigration rules. But in terms of the actual system the government puts in place, we're really not much clearer what that might be. And it would appear there is still a fairly serious debate going on in government about what those new controls should actually look like.
Norman, many thanks indeed. Norman Smith there, our assistant political editor.
Come and talk to me and find out my motivations. If you don't have that courage, then just shut up.
This whole portrayal of good v bad. She's good. She said earlier today that she'd received abuse for what she'd done. It's because she's black. That's why. Yeah, says it all, doesn't it?
So,
says it all, and yet that gets broadcast. And again, we're all meant to think that's true. Can you imagine the media portraying a story that I've been unfairly treated because of who I am? You know, I do a press conference, I went to a public school and I'm white, and that's why they're being beastly to me. Do you think they'd run that?